Good morning.
Good morning.
How are we doing?
Good.
You know, it's very interesting with people. Last week, we had a full house. That's the power of choice. And each one of us could choose to be or not to be whenever we want. Is that beautiful? And those of us who are here, we chose to be here. Isn't that wonderful too?
Yes.
So we are not like our fair weather friends. We brave it all. And we come to experience the goodness that God has prepared for us. Give yourself a hand. Living the Christ life. What does this really mean, living the Christ life? Living the Christ life means living fully and living abundantly. Living knowing that as an heir of all that God has and is, you have a right to experience health, happiness, and abundance of all good things. That if you act naturally and allow yourself to stay in the flow of the universe, all things will work well for you. But what has happened to all of us is that we have been conditioned by other people's concepts of themselves, of God, of the universe. And most of us believe we are separate and apart from God. That there is God somewhere out there, and then there is me, poor me. This creature that has been born in sin and shaped in iniquity. This creature that could never live up to anything good. This creature that, because we are human beings, we suffer from all sorts of stuff. Well, that ain't true. All of that has been made up in the minds of human beings. And anything made up in the mind of a human being is based on that human being's belief about himself, herself, and God. And we know that beliefs are subjective. There is no universal belief. All beliefs are subjective. So most of us have been following the beliefs of others, whether it's religious, political, tribal, or national, that ain't true. And sometimes in our lives, when we have suffered enough, we come to our senses and say to ourselves, I deserve more. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever suffered and then realize you don't need this anymore, and something in you wakes up and say to you, you deserve more? Well, at some time in our lives, something inside of us breaks through to us. Because when we live lives that are separate and apart from God, we continue to experience fear and doubt and worry and all sorts of experiences that are unlike the nature of God. If God is life, then it means that all living things having life are one with God. You cannot have life if God is life. You cannot have life without having God as part of your being. The thought of separating yourself from God has been handed down to us by people who have interpreted their own lives based on separation. That's called theology. Theology, when it's flawed with the concept of separation, condemns most of its followers to a life of suffering without hope of experiencing this wonderful universal gift called life. Jesus said to us, I came that you can have life and have it more abundantly. It means to me that whatever Jesus is said to have done, I could do. When I realize who and what I am. When I realize, as Jesus told his disciples, that they were the salt of the earth, the light of the world, when I realize that I am, that means the Spirit of God in me is the light. And I start to follow the light within me, then I can successfully claim to be a child or an instrument or an expression of the light. The light just means that wherever I am, I understand my importance because I am here to make a difference and to show the world that the world could be different because I'm different. So I don't have to conform to the world. I conform to that light within me, and all I give out will be like the God presence in me. One of the first things we have to do is to realize who we are and whose we are. Who am I? I am an expression of the divine. If you really see me and see the light of me, you have seen the divine. That's what Jesus said. Jesus said, if you see me, you see the Father. Meaning what? The Father is that light that is within us. If I can see your light, your purity, your love, your understanding, your oneness with me, I have seen all that God is. Plain and simple. My role in life is to try to see me as a perfect expression of the divine and then look for it in you. And when I find it in you and have oneness with you, I can live a life of peace and joy and happiness. When we believe in separation, that it is God and then me, things happen like wars. Things happen like envy. Things happen like bitterness. Things happen like revenge. And when I realize that we are one, something happens. There's a connection. That I love you in spite of what you may be doing, your behavior. I love you in spite of what you look like. I love you just because you are you, and I and me, and we are all spiritual beings expressing the will of God. When I understand that, something happens. Something happens that I become free of judgment, free of war, and I become a peacemaker. This is what living the Christ life means. It's surrendering to that voice within me that says to me, Come on to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. That's that divine spark of light in me that calls me out of the dungeon, calls me out of the fiery furnace, calls me out of suffering, and says to me, follow me. Follow me, and I will make you who you really are. Through the light that shines through you, you will have effect on others to help them change their minds about themselves. That's what we are called for to do, to cause others when we are in their midst to see the light and have hope for change. That's what living the Christ life is. The Christ life is if you could recognize that you and the Father are one. Wow. If you realize that wherever you are in the presence of the Almighty, and the Almighty is in you, expressing as you, something happens. Wow! What an experience. What a euphoric moment of experience when you could realize your interactive nature of God and you. That flow between yourself and the divine. When you begin to realize who and what you are and the difference that you could make in the world around you, something happens. It causes you to want to practice it. Can you imagine, look, that if you realize that you could fill all the empty spaces in your life and you experience that once, what will it take you to experience it all the days of your life? It's called use. It's called practice. So we say that man is a thinker. Man thinks thoughts that become the experiences in life, world, and affairs. Man, woman, or humankind, I shouldn't say man alone, I should say humankind. Humankind is a thinker. And the thoughts we think is responsible for the quality of life that we live. When I realize that, and I begin to think at oneness with God, only see things that are pure, holy, just, and of good report, something happens to me. A transformation takes place. And wherever I am, my world changes, my affairs will begin to improve, and my life. Wow! What a life. Wherever I am, I can enjoy the blessings that the universe has for me. It calls for practice. Practicing the presence mean is to abide in the state of goodness wherever you are. And to practice that, it means that things will come up in your life as an opportunity to practice. Have you ever declared, I want to be a good person? And what happens? All sorts of temptations to be bad comes up. And you have to do what? Father, forgive that, or release that from me, and let me continue to practice the goodness. Because most of us have short memories, because the old beliefs keep kicking in and causes us to go astray. So sometimes we discover how nice it is to abide in the presence of God, to see no evil, think no evil, and experience no evil. And then suddenly, that which appears to be evil comes. And we get irritable, fussy, and sometimes cussy. This is the human side of us that operates out of the subconscious phase of mind that has practiced evil for such a long time. And when it comes to change, it finds difficulty to change. Because we are all beings of habit. We have set up a program called ourselves. That's the ego. And when we operate out of the ego is practiced behavior. It's automatic. When we see something different, we hate it. It's automatic. It's a learned response. And what we are working to do now is to release those responses and to stay consciously aware that wherever I am, I have to practice what? Seeing what? Only the good. Alona, sometimes it ain't easy. And sometimes I want to lock myself in my bedroom so I don't go out to experience the world. But you got to learn to be in the world and not to do what? Conform to the world. That's the practice that we have to do. Is to learn to go out into the world, but don't let the world distort our world. That's the practice. This is what living the Christ life is. That's what Jesus began to do from the age of 12, starting to want to live a life that was closely related to his God self. This is what we need to do. I have this wonderful understanding of myself that I was born into onto parents in a particular place at a particular time to experience the things necessary to help me unfold as a spiritual being. So from the time of my birth, everything that happened to me was an opportunity to help me come to my senses and realize that I don't have to conform to my parents or the world around me, but to seek to find, like Jesus of Nazareth, who and what I am, and lived from that context. And each one of us must come to our senses. Stop blaming your parents. They have nothing to do with your life. As a thinker, you began thinking from a little child. When you wanted food, you thought you needed food, you cried on your own. Nobody told you to cry. When your pampers was wet, you cried. You got irritable. Nobody taught you that. You came knowing that when discomfort is in your life, you can change. You know that. You came with the understanding what peace, happiness, abundance is. You came with that. Nobody has to teach you that. So why it is you blame other people when you are not in a comfortable place? That's habit. That's a learned response, not to take responsibility for who and what you are. Whose are your? Whose? Who do you belong to? You belong to spirit. Excuse me. You belong to spirit. Spirit is what Jesus called my Father in heaven. You're a spiritual being. There's nothing that could ever be wrong with you. Stop painting yourself as this suffering saint. You're not a saint and you're not suffering. Shemra and they sing a song. A saint is only a sinner who fell down and got back up again. All of us, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and every day I walk through that shadow of death, but I am not afraid, Because the shadow of death is an opportunity for me to come to my senses, that to know that wherever I am, God is. And why would I be afraid when I am not separate and apart from God? Isn't that wonderful? That's why you alone are here. The others were not supposed to hear this good stuff today. In practicing the presence, we have to learn to be meek. To realize that every moment is a learning or teachable moment. Even a child shall lead them. This is why Jesus said, "Suffer the little children to come unto me, for of such the mind of a little child is open and receptive, not closed, not myopic." So when Jesus made this statement, he is saying, when we become childlike, we become teachable. We can say, "I know nothing. Help me. Teach me." You know, those who come knowing never grow. You know, as soon as you know, you don't grow. You have come to the end. But when you keep your mind open and receptive, something happens. In every moment, you see something new that you could use to improve the quality of your life. And you don't ever get stuck, because answers flow. I know for myself, I come to situations not knowing, and answers come as quickly as possible, and I am never stuck. People call me sometimes 2 o'clock in the morning to answer a question, and the answer comes. Why? I know nothing. By allowing the Spirit of God to flow through me at all times and to flow through us at all times, we get to know the unknown, because there's nothing unknown. It's all God. And if it's all God and God is flowing through me, then all the answers I need are doing what? Flowing through me. All I need to do is to be still and know that God in me is the answer to every question that I could have. That's meekness. Meekness is not weakness. It's not rolling over. You're not a dog or a cat who need cuddling. You need to just become still at times and listen to that still small voice within you, prompting you with the answers that you need to live a healthy, happy, and prosperous life. The next one that you need to practice is love. Love is the idea in divine mind of oneness. Wherever we are, we need to feel connected with whoever is there, whatever is going on, because the only thing that is there is God. If God is all there is, equally present, it doesn't matter who is there or what is going on, God is going on. This calls for a change of mind now. We think that love is some kind of stuff that makes your heart go boop, 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 boop. That's not love. Love is a simple realization of oneness with each other. I am one with you. Wow. Turn to somebody and say, I am one with you. I am connected to you. I can feel your presence. For you are one with me. Wow. That's love. Love joins, draws, cements, binds. And the funny thing about love, whatever you are in love with is in love with you. If you love war, if you love resentment, you draw to you people who love resentment. Hello, now. Hello, now. If your mind only thinks about failure, guess who you draw? All the people in the universe who are focused on failure. You see, the universe is like energy flowing at different levels. And whatever level that you are at, you will do what? Attract people. That's why we are here today. We love each other. We are flowing today on the same level. So there is a common union with us today. That's what love is. Jesus said, no greater love has a person than that person lays down his or her life for another. Now, this is not to kill yourself, but to give all of you so that another could succeed. To help another. That's why one of the most important loves is the love of a mother to a child. Giving all of herself to see the development of a child into a human adult. This is great. But all of us have in us motherhood, that we can share ourselves with others and prop each other up when there's a time, to cooperate with each other, to give each other whatever we think they have need of so that they can live a healthy, happy, and prosperous life. That's what love is. To give without knowing that you have given is love. To share without being called upon to share. It's a natural thing that as human beings we gravitate to other human beings. But what disconnects us is our beliefs in separation, that because you look this way, you could never be like me. Because you have a lot of money, you can't be like me. So we build fences that separate us. When all the fences drop and we see ourselves through the openness, I could say you and I are one. Because I love you as I love me. Hello now. Ask yourself right now, what fences have I created in my mind that prevent me from experiencing the love that others are trying to pour out to me? Hello. Do you realize that you are your own obstacle to love? Hello now. That what you think about, you draw to you and bring about in your life. Don't you realize that every human being on the planet Earth is the same as you, wanting the same as you? Every human being wants to have peace and abundance and have joy in their life. So why is there war? Because the thoughts and the beliefs that we have in separation do not allow us to connect freely. We connect with suspicion. I'm always looking for the bad to come out of you. You see what I said? People who wear glasses can't be trusted. That's a belief. And I'm looking to prove that belief what? To be true. That's all we are doing. Trying to prove what we hold in mind to be true. Not true. But we make it true because if one person out of 1 million wearing glasses does something wrong, we justify. That's all we do. Aren't we crazy? Say with me, we nuts. Oh, I didn't say it. He is saying that because I'm not nuts. Say with me now, I have mastery, authority, and dominion over my entire mind. I control what I think. I control what I feel. I control what I believe. And I believe that I am one with God one with every human being, and one with everything that has life. Now, you got to practice that. And the way to practice that is to learn to use the power of forgiveness. To forgive means to release all these beliefs that create separation in your life. It's not about me telling someone I forgive them for what they have done. They have done nothing to me. I have perceived through my belief that they have done something to me. I need to release that belief that other people are against me, that other people need to kill me, that other people don't like me. I need to tear down the fences that beliefs have built in my mind that prevent me from connecting to you truly, honestly. That's the key word now, honestly, because a lot of us connect with each other with superstition based on our beliefs. We understand what I'm saying? Forgiveness, forgive me as I forgive. When I release it, it releases me. Until I could forgive myself for thinking the way that I have thought before and believing what I believe and hold to be true, there is no forgiveness for me. It begins with me. These are not words that I say because you have done something I don't like. Well, what's wrong with what you have done? You have done it out of what you believe to be true. Hello now. Who am I to judge? This is why Jesus said, I think it's Matthew 7:1, judge not. For whatever judgment you judge, it shall be measured out to you. So, what you think about, you will constantly see in your life. If you believe in separation and evil, you will see that all the time. Living the Christ life means we have to realize who and what we are and begin to practice that. We practice that through meekness, becoming teachable, becoming open and receptive to new ideas, to seeing ourselves differently and learning to see other people differently too. That's meekness. And then we have to apply love, learning to connect with people who we hated before, learning to see them as God sees them. You are one with me, I am one with you. We may look differently, we may speak differently, we may even experience life from a different perspective, but we are one. And my role is to connect with you and share with you. And the third one is to release from my mind all negative thoughts and feelings that have controlled my world, my affairs, and my life for all these years, to create a new heaven and a new earth, a new heaven being a new frame of reference mentally, and then create a new life. It is so important for us to begin to tell ourselves, I am a spiritual being in the process of becoming. And every moment provides me with an opportunity. Every person I meet, I need to love and accept as one. Every condition that occurs in my life is there to help me realize that God acts in so many mysterious ways. And my role is to come to realize whatever the mystery is, I accept it because it has to be good. God bless you.